Thank you, Ben. Hello, everyone. So I will be talking about, the contextual challenges that we were able to identify in the project. So we will be giving you just a tip of the iceberg, but we have a lot of some of these reports are still coming out, and there will be a lot of them in our website as well. In the project, we adopted the method of co-creation, where we wanted to create a set of guidelines or understand the challenges on the context of the SMEs from the focal lens of SMEs. So we had, for our first workshop, we brought in our participants from the UK and Africa to, kind of get an understanding of the challenges that they face, and also the mitigation strategies that they currently adopt, or that they will, or the things that they will require to mitigate the risks. And this is where we had an understanding of the current challenges that they face. And these are spread across, regulatory, operational, and socioeconomic, and ethical and technical challenges as well. And as you can see there are some of these challenges that might sit themselves with what you've experienced, but there are some other challenges there that might be unique in a way. And some of the things that jump out there, for example, the lack of standards for SMEs that cannot easily be translated into standard operating procedures on how they adopt generative AI. Some of the things that jumped out from the workshop, and also the African market accessibility. And this is one of the reasons why we focused on Africa as well, because most of the SMEs, or some of the SMEs in Africa, are looking for a way to collaborate, but, having that penetration into the market is something that is quite a challenge. And also prompting was quite a key one. How users prompt. There is really no, skill prompting for users out there. And, data availability was a key one as well. So in terms of what the mitigation strategies are, there was a call for industry-specific, self-regulation. SMEs wanted to self-regulate rather than the government providing that form of regulation. And there are also, the need for data centers in Africa that have that contextual data that they can use to train their LLMs. So the QR code there will lead you to the report in order to get, more detail. So we also carried out a second workshop where we try to triangulate to understand what are the top three, challenges in the African context. And lack of contextual data is one that has come up very often, and it was at the top of the list. And also lack of infrastructure and the technical knowledge. This led to some of the SMEs, to outsource what they have in different platforms that are out of the continent, and then some of them face some peculiar challenges there, and also unskilled prompting by users. So these were the top three that came out from this prioritization. So we then move forward to understand, okay, in terms of our case studies that we have had, that Ben pointed out, and the workshop. So what are the key African contextual insights that we can derive from the project, and we can also integrate these to the UK context as well. We saw that for some of the case studies in the African context, there's a hype-driven adoption of generative AI, where some of these things can be solved using existing solutions, and there was no need for using generative AI. And a key one there, also transitioning from a non-profit model to a profit model, was quite challenging for one of our case studies. And we thought that was important because then you already have the data, you already have the structure of a not-for-profit model. And then how do you migrate your users, move that data, and start, turning it into a for-profit model? And there's a form of distrust in the public sector as well, in terms of using generative AI for public good, as we saw from our case studies, who are having to hold back in terms of collaborating with the government, in terms of, for example, education, using generative AI for education. How will this influence the government, and what are the political struggles in there as well? Localization of generative AI avatars appearance, key one for our journalism AI. We're using these words because they are pseudonyms to, for confidentiality purposes. They had a challenge because, they could not reflect the generative AI in the local context, and that led to serious backlash. And there is a current challenge on how to represent the generative AI in the local context and how it pronounces the keywords and also the addressing and all of that. And the funny one I always bring up is that it led to, for example, some of the viewers of their station started asking the generative AI out because they didn't know that it was generative AI. They started asking for a date in the so yeah, those are the challenges they are coming to learn. And also there's a preference for any large language model that offers free credits. And we saw that, for example, if OpenAI is giving a lot of free credits, the SMEs tended to tilt towards that provider. And lack of infrastructure, key one. So this has led to most of the SMEs in the African context using Hugging Face for training their models. And the need for fair data, so findable, accessible, interpretable, and reusable data is a key one. Because then these SMEs are trying to train their models, but that repository that has data that is findable is not currently existing. But the data exists, but it's not currently findable. And also, the need for services, the services developed outside the region is currently being preferred by users rather than what the SMEs have developed in the region. So those are the things we found out in the general African landscape. Now, drilling down into the specific case studies. So as Ben showed, we have 12 case studies, but I'll be highlighting just 2 here. So the first one is Health AI, named to the demise for confidentiality reasons as well. So Health AI is a generative AI user, and what they're trying to do is to have a kind of platform where a user can interact with generative AI and then get consultations, and then those consultations will be moved to a medical expert who will then solidify those consultations and then get back to the user by providing prescriptions. And this will also be used they hope to use that as a medical history for the patient, and it can even lead to providing collecting samples, following up on samples, and also providing medical counseling or marriage counseling as well, which is quite a unique one in the African context. And so some of the things we found out with these case studies, which might be helpful for those in the room, is that there's currently a huge challenge integrating the conversations that someone has had with the AI, and then using an API to transform that into a format that they can integrate with the existing EHR that they're using. So that's a current one. And also regulatory uncertainty about physician use of AI systems is one that they're facing in the Nigerian context, and which I think you can triangulate that to the UK context, because currently in the Nigerian context, there is a regulation around using of telemedicine, but are physicians allowed to use is generative AI considered as a form of telemedicine? So these are some of the challenges that they have faced as well. And then transforming AI consultations into patient records that they can give for referral to a hospital is something that is quite challenging as well. And then simple one, but also complex from their context, managing user expectations. And a key one is integrating traditional therapies, because they have, from the Nigerian context, there's a high level of self medication and traditional medications as well, which are believed to work. But how do they have that data set to integrate that with the model? So and research has shown that some of those things are for example, stopping blood clotting using like a leaf and all of that, things that they believe work, and how do they integrate that in the discussion of the generative AI with a potential patient. So the other one is legal AI, which is a UK case study as well. So legal AI uses generative AI to be able to provide contractual documents to lawyers. So lawyers are the specific users for legal AI. So what they're trying to do is to use publicly available data sets, train their model, and then that will be able to provide contract documents to tailor to the specific needs of a lawyer. But there's a problem around professional guidance, which they have said they have to rely on the internal contracts with the clients because of the lack of professional guidance from the I think Solicitors Regulatory Authority, which is the professional body. And yeah, so they use that their publicly available data sets to carry out document analysis. And currently they're trying to provide bespoke data sets, but because of they are scared of the client's confidentiality from data from different clients leaking into the other data, they cannot provide those bespoke data sets. And the best approach is no user prompting. So users can prompt. It's best for the user to provide the requirements, and then they train and give the outputs to the user. So having gotten some of these insights, these are just 2 case studies. We have 12 case studies, and for each of those case studies, we are writing a report for each of them. A case study report, we have 2 done. We are still writing for each one. We'll be hosting it on our website as well. So we then move to what a risk assessment tool will look like based on the context of the SMEs, based on what the SMEs have told us. Because what we are doing, we are focusing on co-creation. So the idea here is from the insight we have gotten is to come up with a risk assessment and a ranking kind of tool. And this will start with a set of questions to get the context of your usage of generative AI, and then measure how well you understand the risks that might occur in your usage of generative AI, and then measure kind of perceived coverage of, the mitigation strategies that you think you currently have. So this will be like a Likert scale to measure your level of coverage, and then your perceived confidence to say if you feel confident that you have the risks in place. And then this starts by a specific list of screening questions, just like Ben has showed, to gather details of plan use. For example, are you an SME in Africa? Are you in the health sector? Okay. How are you funded? Because we have lots of insights around all of that. And then we will use that to generate a specific set of questions that will align to you. There are some that are generic risks, which we have found from our insights, and then sector-specific risk based on your context, based on where you said you'll be using AI in art or in health or in journalism or for financial investment for our South African SME. And then after this will then provide you with a set of different risks as shown previously. So this is kind of expanding the generic risk around organizational risk. So organizational preparedness is a risk that you will have. Financial risk also fall under that, and then shadow AI and platform risks. So this will have a set of questions that we have, insights that we have gotten from the project so far to measure your preparedness and how well you feel you've mitigated this. And using that, we will create a bespoke list of priority where, based on the measurement that we have gotten around your confidence level, we will create this list. Say, okay, shadow AI, data protection, intellectual property, something that is tailored to the context of what you have answered and what you have given to us initially. And so this is just a sample of a generic to-do list that you will have. For example, in intellectual property, which might fall under compliance, to say, okay, you need to understand your data provenance and also licensing conditions. What are the things that you need to do? Also, how do you enter into contractual agreements and IP assurances? These are the things that you need to do to mitigate the risk that you've said you're not confident about, which is intellectual property. So this will not this will be iterative. So this is just a snapshot. And then, for example, if you say you're using AI for health and you're not confident about harm, for example, so this will provide you a to-do list as well. Because one thing we have learned from our case study is that they didn't have a bespoke, they didn't have insurance at all. So one of the things that they need to look at, for example, is to have an insurance model that is tailored to generative AI. And there are also challenges there, as you're aware, of having specific generative AI insurance. For example, E&O, errors and omissions insurance, and all of them that are tailored to the medical context that can mitigate harm. So future direction so far, what we are currently doing and will be doing for the next couple of months is we will continue working on our case study analysis to write the case study reports, which will be available on our website. You can download them. Then also the ecosystem analysis on how we integrate all the different case studies that we have. And then currently, we have the UK Shared Prosperity Fund funding call, which we have responded to, and we have been successful so far. I'm waiting for the outcome of that, where we can support Midlands businesses. So that is what we are currently the point of trajectory we are going into. And yeah, thank you.